There we go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, September 4th, 2019.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners Garcia, Cabello, James are present, and Enclosa are present. We have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introduction? Thanks, President James. May we start with Bureau introductions, beginning with street lighting?
Good morning, Guptujian Street Lighting.
Good morning, Brian McCormick, LA Sanitation and Environment.
Good morning, Sunny Patel, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Linda McLinchy, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Manuel Perez, Streets LA.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Good morning, I'm TJ Knight. I'm Assistant Executive Officer. We have speaker cards three speaker cards under public comments. We have speaker cards under items 1 and 2, and no neighborhood council commentary this morning.
Okay, thank you. We'll close neighborhood council category of commentary. I've got two speaker cards that are, they're actually announcements from bureaus, so we will hold those separately. Under general public comment, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. For the record, Arnold Sachs. I don't know how many people saw the Sunday Times. It's a fairly interesting newspaper. There's a lot of stories you could talk about, but a couple things. Another rampage, another shooting. People are talking about gun control and everything. It would go a long way if the state of California decided, or the federal government, I'm not sure which one it was, decided to re-implement the ban on assault weapons. It was put in place during President, I can't think of his name, but 20 years ago, and it was only a 10-year ban. And so they're back on the market. And how can you expect people to have some kind of gun control when you have assault weapons that are back on the market? It doesn't make sense. That being said, I hope you all had a good weekend and a good holiday. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. We'll close general public comment. Let's move to two announcements that we have, or an announcement that we have from both John Reamer and Chris Jensen, in whichever order you would prefer, gentlemen. Mr. Jensen. I'm getting the signal from Mr. Reamer. Welcome, sir.
Good morning. Thank you. I am Chris Jensen. I am the Labor Compliance Officer for the City of Los Angeles, and I am very pleased to inform you that the state has finally recognized the long-sought classification of graffiti removal worker that we have been asking for. This is really good news. It's going to put a legitimate wage on graffiti removal, one that actually matches the classification. It's going to provide training and opportunities for a lot of young people who work in the city of Los Angeles. And I honestly believe we've done a good thing here. I want to acknowledge a few people, though, that have been very involved in this. First, Julie Su, the Labor Secretary for the state of California. She and Victoria Hasid, who is the Chief Deputy Director for the Department of Industrial Relations, worked very hard behind the scenes. Ken Lau, Assistant Chief Counsel for the Office of the Director Legal Unit, was extremely helpful for the city. Anytime you try to bring two crafts together to get them to agree on something, it's always difficult. You definitely run the risk of jurisdictional disputes. However, John Preciado, the business manager for the laborers, and Luis Robles, the business manager for the painters and allied trades, worked together to make this happen. And we would have to acknowledge Robert Smith, political director for the painters, who has been involved right from the very beginning. He reached out to the various community-based organizations and is offering to work with them and help set up training programs for their specific needs. For the city family, we have to praise the involvement of Paul Roch of the Office of Community Beautification, the Mayor's Office, Commissioners Garcia, Sabeo, and particularly President James. I also want to personally thank John Reamer and Hannah Choi for their support and words of encouragement throughout this long process. This will save the city of Los Angeles a lot of money, while at the same time providing these young men and women with an opportunity to make a decent wage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Mr. Reamer, welcome, sir.
Thank you, President James. Good morning, President, Commissioners, Department family. I understand this is public comment, but I had to come here on this day and celebrate a long journey, a very long journey. And as I was thinking this morning, the words that came to mind to me were relationship, respect, and results. Chris Jensen deserves so much credit for what has happened here. And he has been working tirelessly as a representative for this city, enforcing prevailing wage and ensuring that men and women are paid properly. And when this issue came up, what we ultimately resulted in was one of his ideas. And so I came here today just to say thank you, Chris Jensen, for what you did. The relationships that Chris has established with the state over the years have served the city well in this incident. And then the respect. As Chris alluded to, I can't do anything but take my hat off to the building trades, and that this could have been an easy jurisdictional squabble, and yet they put all things aside and they put the city of LA first. And I can't say thank you enough. And the results that we have, quite frankly, it's because the city family came together, as we always do, under the leadership of this board and certainly our mayor. And graffiti will continue to be removed. And we will continue to provide pathways of opportunities for young men and women to move into a career path simply because we were able to resolve this issue. We didn't cut any corners. We didn't get any favors. We just worked together as one group. And this is a phenomenal example of what government does. So mine is to just say thank you to all. I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this, and this is a good thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Reamer. And I would note, we had closed general public comment on the Bureau announcements. As you know, under the Brown Act, we don't respond to general public comment. But I will respond just briefly regarding the Bureau announcement. And that is to say thank you, Mr. Jensen, Mr. Reamer. Thank you for your leadership, your hard work, watching this really kind of day by day by day. It was quite a process. Took several months. For Commissioner Garcia as well, thank you for being involved. I also want to say thank you to former Commissioner Heather Repenning for being involved in this process as well, and just to my colleagues in general. After Commissioner Repenning, our Vice President Cecilia Cabello, it really has been a team effort, and thank you to the Mayor's Office, to Greg Good, to the Mayor's Office of City Services, Barbara Romero, but we got there. Am I leaving anybody out, gentlemen? All right. Thank you. Thank you for both for coming in this morning and for the good news. And I know that our budget chair at the City Council will be pleased and relieved as well. And that'll move us along for the next budget cycle. Thank you. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meetings of August 12th and August 14th by Commissioner Cabello? Any objection? That was seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, that will be the order of approval of those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 5 is a contract amendment, Council District 7, Sanitation and the City Administrative Officer. Contract amendment number 1, Memorandum of Understanding, Discovery Cube Los Angeles, Operational Support and Development, Promotion and Assistance for Sanitation Events and Programs. Recommending that the Board approve and forward the report with the transmittal to the Mayor's Office for approval to execute the proposed amendment number 1 to the Memorandum of Understanding Agreement between the City of Los Angeles Department of Public Works, Bureau of Sanitation, and the Discovery Cube Los Angeles for operational support and to develop, promote, and assist with the City of Los Angeles sanitation environmental events and programs, and authorize the Office of the City Administrative Officer to serve as administrator responsible for authorizing the disbursement of the cash advance and final approval of the invoice documentation in accordance with the scope of services defined within the proposed amendment number 1 of the subject MOU, including the provision of other services mutually agreed between DCLA, that's Discovery Cube LA, and Sanitation as part of the supplemental service schedule. This is something that has been before our board before. This is simply an amendment of extension. Ms. Shimatsu. Jennifer, hi.
Hi, good morning, President James, Commissioners, and Bureau representatives. My name is Jennifer Shimatsu, and I am representing the Office of the CAO. The Discovery Cube received $1.8 million in the current year adopted budget. The $1.8 million has already been appropriated in the General City Purposes Fund, and the City Clerk oversees the accounting functions of this fund. $900,000 came from the General Fund, $450,000 came from the Solid Waste Resources Revenue Fund, and $450,000 came from the Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund. The MOU amendment is needed to increase the total compensation from the original $3 million to a revised funding limit of $4.8 million, to extend the 3-year term by 15 weeks to a revised expiration date of July 31st, 2020, to expand the scope of work to include general operations and maintenance expenses as eligible costs to be offset by the $900,000 in general fund, and to allow the Discovery Cube to obtain cash advances subject to final documentation of allowable costs. It is also recommended that the board authorize the CEO to serve as administrator responsible for authorizing the disbursement of the cash advance and final approval of the invoice documentation. We have been working directly with Lisa Mowry from Sanitation, the City Clerk, and Discovery Cube. Since the funding is currently appropriated in the General City Purposes Fund, all parties prefer that the payments are processed by the City Clerk upon the approval and review by the CAO. This will help to expedite the payment process. We will meet with Sanitation to ensure that the same process and diligence is followed with regards to the invoice approvals in order to protect the uses of the special funds. We have representatives here from Sanitation and the Discovery Cube, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, and thank you for mentioning that Discovery Cube reps are here. I don't have any questions. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. I don't have any questions either. I'd just like to commend Sanitation and this Discovery Cube for this fruitful partnership. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. I learn about not only science, but everything that Sanitation does as well, including food waste and really cool exhibits. I stress that everyone should go and visit at least once. And thank you to the leadership of former Controller Wendy Gruhl, who's with us, and all the folks at Discovery Cube LA and LA Sanitation for continuing this really wonderful partnership. And I move the item.
Great, that was going to be interpreted as a motion anyway. And we have Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President. I just want to also say that I support this program a lot, not only because it teaches such educational value, but it's doing it out in the San Fernando Valley, which I live right by this Discovery Cube, so I saw when it was going up from ground up until today, and I extremely love it. And any way that I can outreach more for it or support it in any other way, I'm more than happy to do it. So I'm so excited that Sanitation plays a big role in that. Thank you for doing that. And Wendy, also, thank you for being here. Nice seeing you.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Gruhl, for attending. Thank you for the reps from the Discovery Cube. That motion was made by Commissioner Cabello, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, that'll be the order on agenda item number 5. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Thank you both. Agenda item, we've got a couple of authority for expenditures so we can get our bills paid. Agenda item number 6, authority for expenditure, National Plant Services Incorporated. Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $250,000 to encumber funds for sewer condition assessment using closed-circuit television inspection. The authority for expenditure will serve as a bridge until a new contract is executed. It is from the Sewer Capital Fund. Department 50 of the Appropriation Unit is listed. Mr. Morales on agenda item number 6.
Can you guys hear me clear?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, good morning, Bureau representatives and commissioners. My name is Edgar Morales, and I'm here on behalf of the Clean Water Collections Divisions for LA Sanitation. And today I'm actually gonna go in between items 6 and 7, which reflect the same, just different contractors. We're requesting authorization for expenditure for National Plant Services for $250,000 and Hoffman Southwest DVA Professional Pipe Services for $150,000. This is in regards to give some of the background. This is in regards to the closed circuit television inspection, also known as CCTV. This is the primary tool used for condition assessment for the collection system. In addition, as you may be aware, we do have about 6,700 miles of sewer and stormwater infrastructure that serve over 4 million resident and business customers, making it the largest collection system in the nation. CCTV is used to plan and identify to prioritize future capital improvement projects. In addition, it's been used to CCTV for spills, special requests, condition assessment, quality assurance, and quality control. Our previous contract with Hoffman Southwest Corp DVA Professional Pipe Services and National Plant Services expire on April 24, 2019 and June 4, 2019 respectively. For this reason, we're asking to have the approval of the authoritative expenditures as it will bridge, it will serve as a bridge until the new contract is executed.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on number 6 or number 7? Understanding what we're doing here, and we're just continuing over until we get the contract in place. So basically bridge funding. Okay, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 6, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 6. Any issue sending 6 forthwith? Let me call number 7, although we don't need another oral presentation for you on it. I hadn't called it for the record. So agenda item number 7. Also, this authority for expenditure, Hoffman Southwest Corporation Sanitation and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $150,000 to encumber funds for the sewer condition assessment, again using closed circuit television inspection. The authority for expenditure will serve as bridge until the new contract is executed. Mr. Morales has already presented on number 7. Any questions on number 7? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send number 7 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8 is Council District 6, Authority for Expenditure, State Water Reclamation Resources Control Board, Sanitation, and the Office of Accounting are requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $404,082 to encumber funds to pay for the annual National Discharge Pollutant Elimination System and stormwater fees. This is required by the State of California State Water Resources Control Board, a state regulatory agency per California Water Code Section 13260. The fees are required in order to discharge the processed wastewater produced by the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant for a period covering this fiscal year, July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. The funds come from the Sewer Operations and Maintenance Fund. Sir, go ahead on number 8.
Good morning. Michael Ruiz, Kevin James, President, Commissioners, Board Representatives. I'm here requesting to encumber funds in the amount of $404,082 for the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System discharge permit requirements that come out annually. This also includes our stormwater fees for the year. I will say that the actual invoice for last year was $333,198 for last year's invoice. I've heard rumor from that's going around now that we haven't got the invoice yet for this year, but it looks like they're going to go up this year again. They were actually down last year from the previous year. So basically, excuse me. So this is also includes a settlement offer of about $36,000. That's included in what we're asking the amount, total amount of $404,082 total. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions at all for Mr. Ruiz? Commissioner Garcia has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Right, number 8. That's a sharp suit, Davis. Any objection? We'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 9 is an oral report. We'll come back to that. Agenda item number 3 is a contract award. Central Avenue Public Transit Improvement Federal Transit Administration Project, Federal Award number CA040200801 SL 8948, recommending that the board waive the signature irregularity on the signature sheet and affidavit submitted by the International Line Builders Incorporated and accept their revised affidavit as discussed in the report, and secondly, declare International Line Builders Incorporated the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award ILB, that's International Line Builders, a contract for the project in the amount of $339,428. Mr. Herman on number 3. One moment, sir.
So Jose Huizar still has his shit on our paper. Why is Jose Huizar on any contract after the FBI has continued to investigate this white motherfucker from Los Angeles who used Salesian Catholic Church to money laundering for developers? The signature sheet reflects the affidavit that Jose Huizar, the wetback from Zacatecas, is another significant portion to be understood. An unpleasant, sharp attack of criticism. Why can't you see what you're doing to me, Los Angeles? When you don't believe what I say, that the FBI is investigating Los Angeles and the DWP. Why did you declare the first low bidder when you know you're nothing more but racist, prejudiced pricks? And you continue to violate my amendment so far. And I must make this statement under Brandenburg versus Ohio, U.S. 395, 444, 1969. What significant nigger is doing? A dirty nigger. Send the nigger Jew back to Israel with the other Oreo niggers. Let's save America. Let's go back to constitutional betterment. Bury the niggers. Bury the niggers. Otherwise, this improvement for Federal Transit Administration project under federal award is unconstitutional, violates our rights as to how far the niggers will go.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Mr. Nguyen on number 3.
Good morning, President James, Commissioner, City Attorney, Bureau Representatives, Executive Officer, Dr. Campos. Thanks for helping. I'm Dick Nguyen with the Bureau of Street Lighting. On behalf of the Bureau, I'm here to recommend award of the Central Avenue Public Transit Improvement Project to International Light Builders, ILB for short. As mentioned, ILB was the lowest responsible bidder on the project, bidding 5.89% lower than the project estimate. Also, ILB met the DBE goal by pledging a DBE commitment of more than 20%. The DBE goal advertised for this project was 14.08%. There was minor signature irregularity on ILB's signature sheet and affidavit, as discussed in the award report, but it was later corrected by ILB. This type of irregularity was previously determined by the City Attorney's Office as minor and correctable, and does not affect award eligibility. This project was bid in March of this year, and their bid bond is valid until October 25th of this year. In summary, the contractor has met all bidding requirements, and therefore we recommend award to International Light Builders of this project. This project will provide lighting to enhance safety security at 15 bus stop locations along Central Avenue between Washington Boulevard and Slauson Avenue.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 3, Mr. Jordan, regarding the signature irregularity, that's an issue that, 1, is legally waivable, and 2, not something that is of concern to your office, correct?
Yes, I concur with the staff's recommendation.
Okay, this is a federal project across the board as well, thus the DBE numbers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a compliment to those of you who are working on this project, knowing that area, particularly around the 9th District. I think this is a critically important project, and I think it will certainly clearly add to public safety in the area, and hopefully when we experience success there, we might be able to do this kind of a project throughout other areas of the city.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. That's a motion?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. We've got some speaker cards on item number 1. I held it a little while just for anybody else that might show up that wasn't here necessarily on time. So let's go ahead and call agenda item number 1 to give us time to complete the hearing. Agenda item 1 is in Council District 14, Bureau of Engineering, above-ground facilities variance, 406 South Breed Street, recommending that the board first approve the request for a variance from the height requirement of the above-ground facilities ordinance pursuant to Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 6208VB for the monopole, and secondly, authorize mobility to install a 46-foot high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 406 South Breed Street. We have 2 letters that were being sent around, one from the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, one from Councilman Jose Huizar. Let's go through our speaker cards. One moment, sir. We have some speakers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10 minutes. Let's start with Rocio Hernandez. Actually, that's from the council office. Arelina Munoz?
Good morning, everyone. I'm coming here as a concerned citizen for the area of Boyle Heights. I've been living there for many years, actually since 1960. And I've noticed that changes, they are tremendous in our area. Some of them good, some of them mostly bad. We have an overpopulation, of course, problems with parking, and now we have the problems with antennas. At every so many square feet, in my opinion, there's an antenna. And I believe that there's not been enough information given to the public in regards to the wrong that it gives to the health of the person. And don't quote me, what I read is just scares me to death of the radiation that supposedly occurs to the areas. Of course, I know about government and I know about businesses and money talks. And a layperson like myself and everybody in my area, we have a lot of children, a lot of schools, and there's so many antennas that I cannot believe that so much things have been allowed. Things that don't bring things to better the community, but to make it worse. And I feel that our councilman needs to address this very strongly, as well as you people here. And like I said, I'm just a layperson, retired old person that, less than me, but the children that are coming up is my well-being because I have grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And the effects of these problems of the antennas is just overwhelming for myself. I thank you for your attention, and I hope you reconsider about granting more permits for antennas to be near schools, near daycare centers,
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have a 2-minute time limit. I'm sorry we didn't get that announcement over to you, but that's for everybody that speaks. Next, we have Hortensia Tamayo.
Good morning, council members. My name is Hortensia Tamayo. I've been a Boyle Heights resident for over 45 years. And I, too, am very concerned. Not only as a social worker, I've worked with people with developmental disabilities, people that work in nursing homes, and now I work with people that are discharged from hospitals who have chronic and terminal illnesses and cancers that are coming up in the brain, in their pelvic area, groin area, and obviously in the breasts, especially where women hold the phones. So my concern is not only as a resident, but somebody who actually works in the field and is seeing all of this on a day-to-day basis. So these EMF towers are coming up in descriptions to the community that don't tell us either that it isn't a EMF 5G and that it's emitting radiation. Most of the jargon is not user-friendly, it's not citizen-friendly, and it really should be at a level where a 4th grader, 5th grader can understand based on the education that a lot of people do have. We have a lot of people that have not been able to advance in their education for various reasons. So especially people with disabilities that can't speak for themselves, that aren't aware of these things, and they do advance illnesses. I am behooved by Chairman Pai from the FCC that is talking about a cell phone not being effective and has not talked about the towers. And that has been something that has been ignored. And I don't understand why we have these critical laws against plastic straws, against secondhand smoke. We have warning labels if people get electrocuted for all the community, and we have side effects from medication, and you have the choice whether you want to take that, use that, or deal with that. And yet this is something so incredibly invasive, intrusive in a community, and for people to not have the right education, to not be able to defend
2 minutes.
themselves.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is not right, and I hope
Next,
that you
we
will
have
support
Brenda
us.
Martinez.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. My name is Brenda Martinez. I'm here as a resident of Boyle Heights. I'm here representing some of the residents in Boyle Heights who are opposing this antenna today.
Excuse me, ma'am. One moment. Mr. Herman, you came in here making goat noises. You started making dog noises. Now that these people have come up to the podium, you've stood up and you're making all kinds of gestures. Ma'am, is he with you?
No.
Part of your group? Mr. Herman, you're disrupting the meeting. Either sit down or you're going to be eliminated from the meeting. Go ahead, ma'am. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. So we are residents of Boyle Heights. All of us are here to oppose that monopole tower that's going to be built on Breed and Ford. So basically, I just want to bring to your attention that this monopole antenna is part of a 5G infrastructure. It's a technology that has not been studied and or utilized, and the FCC guidelines are over 23 years old. So I would like to be here, and I would like for you to take into consideration that there's a several $million study by the National Toxicology Program, which shows the clear evidence of cancer and DNA damage from the EMFs and the RFs, and at least 7 types of cancer: brain, heart, pancreas, liver, prostate, adrenal gland, and the most vulnerable are the children. So as a community here, we're still working on the X-side cleanup, and based on all the studies that we know, it will lead to major ecological disaster. That's not even talking about the human disaster. So this also affects the environment, killing bees, birds, trees. It will affect our food sources and our water supplies. So I would like for you to review those websites that you guys were provided with so that we can all make an informed decision, push for an ordinance, and make changes into our regulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. And just for the oral record, Mr. Jordan, I want to just mark Ms. Martinez's testimony on the record, which I may refer to later. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have Jose Orozco Pelico.
Good morning, Board. My name is Jose Orozco Pelico. I'm currently the Vice President for the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. I went ahead and distributed a letter that we drafted in opposition of the Mobilite request. I'm just going to go ahead and read verbatim. We, the Board of Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, write today to vigorously oppose Mobilite's proposed monopole cell tower for the area adjacent to 406 South Breed Street in Boyle Heights. An invitation was extended to Mobilite to present on their proposed project at our last General Board meeting, which took place August 28th at the Boyle Heights City Hall. Mobilite was on our agenda but chose not to send a representative. In their absence, our board voted unanimously to oppose their project. Our proposition to Mobilite's project, though, is not due to their failure to attend our meeting. Our community and our planet have been victimized by environmental injustice for decades, and we are tired of rushing into projects with new technologies and unknown side effects. This approach is responsible for our planet's current climate crisis, and we believe it is necessary that we change the way we do business. While we appreciate that there is science suggesting that cell towers like the one Mobilite is proposing are safe, we are also aware of science suggesting quite the opposite. It is likewise indisputable that 20 years from now, we will know about a whole host of side effects associated with exposure to cell towers that we are incapable of seeing at present. We make this case not out of paranoia, but from our understanding of the history of our environmental injustice in our own community. When the East LA interchange was proposed, people were excited about the new options available to commuters. Concerns about the consequences to Boyle Heights and the air its residents breathe were ignored. Today, we're still paying the price. Residents today in Boyle Heights are not currently concerned with their cell phones' receptions. Our phones work just fine. We are concerned about the students at Bree Street Elementary who would go to school every day next to Boyle Heights Tower should their project move forward. Those students deserve to go to school in an area free from any potential environmental dangers. There's no need to add that risk with this tower. We ask the Board of the Public Works to vote to oppose Mobile's request for a variance. Thank you.
2 minutes.
Thank you, sir. And we have the written letter as well will be made part of the record. So thank you. Next, we have Ernestina Cardenas.
Buenos días, soy Ernestina Cárdenas, soy residente también de Boyle Heights y también soy una de las preocupadas por la radiación de las antenas y incluso hay veces no nos...
Since there's no translation services, can I go ahead and translate?
Of course, I was going to even offer Commissioner Cabello or Commissioner Garcia, but chances are we do pretty well up here, but it would be good for the oral record as well. We can generally understand Spanish, but it would be helpful for the oral record.
We'll restart the clock.
Okay, yes, we'll restart the clock. Okay. So just 1 moment, and then you can start over, ma'am. Okay. Sir, go ahead. Yes, please. Yes, and we'll add an additional minute for the translation services, but ideally she'll make a couple of sentences, and then you can, and then back and forth. Okay, thank you.
Lo que estaba comentando que según las leyes a 500 pies a la redonda nos tienen que mandar notificación cuando van a poner algo.
What I was commenting as regarding the laws in a distance of 500 feet, you have to provide notice.
Entonces ahora con estas antenas no nos notifican a toda la gente, es mínimo.
Now with these antennas, they haven't notified everybody. It's very minimal.
Y pues yo estoy preocupada porque por mis hijos, también por mis vecinos, los que traen marcapasos.
And I'm very concerned for my kids, my neighborhood, and my neighbors.
Y esto sé que causa pues, magnetismo, radiación, y luego eso es cáncer en diferentes partes del cuerpo.
And I know it causes magnetism, radiation, and various cancers in the body.
Entonces yo pienso que nos escuchen y nos consideren. Es como ponerse ponerse ustedes en nuestro lugar, si tienen familia enferma o hijos.
And I urge you that, that you listen to us and
Su familia, si le pueden
que nos escuche, perdón.
que nos escuchen, que nos, como
That you,
si ellos fueran nosotros.
that you listen to us as if you were members of our own community in Boyle Heights, and if you have family and friends in Boyle Heights as well.
Y eso es todo porque yo, pues sí, me preocupa y estamos aquí nosotros hablando por toda nuestra comunidad porque muchos ignoran o les dicen no, no afecta nada y los convencen. Entonces nosotros sí ya nos informamos lo que puede causar y todo y por eso andamos aquí hablando por todos. Muchas gracias.
And that's why we're here to presenting to the board our concerns and explaining why we're opposing the project.
Y saber que estas antenas no las queremos porque son muy potentes. Por todo Boyle Heights no queremos ahorita.
And to let you know that we do not want additional antennas in Boyle Heights.
Gracias.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's go to Mr. Herman.
So the history of Boyle Heights boils down to Brandenburg versus Ohio, US 395-444-445, number 492, 1969, regarding a monopole. Fucked up. Because you know Jose Huizar don't care about our community, a community that I, a resident of the United States, born and raised in the state of California, shove your monopole up your fucking public right-of-way assholes. Because you heard our public testimony. We're in opposition. We don't want niggers sticking their poles to contaminate us fucking wetbacks. Leave us wetbacks alone in our community so we can fuck it up even more. Because no one seems to care what fucking Salesian High School and the Catholic fucking Church has done. Money laundering, pinche putos. So I say to you regarding request for the ordinance, a 46-foot high pole in South Breed Street, we got enough electricity poles in Boyle Heights. Why don't you bury the niggers like you bury all the other electrical in a plastic pipe underground away from our children in schools, from the YMCA, from the library? But no, Jose Huizar's fucking bitches in LA. Matter of fact, his staff, Francine Godoy, got paid to fuck Jose Huizar in the city of LA and took our fucking money to upgrade our community. Fuck you, 42 USC 1983, Brandenburg versus Ohio, assholes.
Those are all the general public comment cards I have. I've got Ms. Hernandez from CD14. Would you prefer to go now or after we hear from the Bureau and from the applicant? Okay. Come forward. We'll find out. And just so you know, Mr. Hernandez, we do have, all of the board members have a copy of Councilman Huizar's letter of opposition. And Mr. Herman, your device is still.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
And Mr. Chair, for the record, I've distributed a copy of the letter from the council office, the letter from the neighborhood council, along with that other miscellaneous letter to the representative from Mobility, so they have it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good morning, commissioners. My name is Rocio Hernandez, and I'm the district director for Councilmember Huizar. And today I'm here to express the council members' concerns and opposition with the proposed AGF at 406 South Breed Street. Back in 2017, the applicant did come before the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council's Planning and Land Use Committee, but never actually presented before the full board, before the full general board. At the time, there were several locations that were to be co-located, but no specific details or presentation was ever presented on this specific location. And most recently, our office did request that this item be continued to allow for the applicant to present before the board, the full neighborhood council. We worked closely with the neighborhood council and got the item in the agenda, and the applicant did not come before the full board to present. So today we're here to join the community who, as you saw and heard, have several concerns with this project. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We may have some questions as we go along through the hearing. I only have one request. I think that's there's a cell phone in the back. You're welcome to videotape all you like, but when you turn on the light, I can't look at the speaker because the flash is harsh. So you're welcome to video all you want, just no light, please. Let's go to our Mr. Sawaya from the Bureau of Engineering. We've closed off commentary now, sir, so go ahead with your presentation, then we'll hear from the applicant as well.
Good morning, Ramzi Sawaya with Bureau of Engineering. On March 8, 2019, Mobility requested a variance from the AGF ordinance for height limitation to install a 46-high wood monopole adjacent to 406 Bridge Street. The purpose of the monopole is to mount wireless telecommunication antennas. The Bureau of Engineering's review of this AGF application found the site to be compliant with the AGF ordinance for the following reasons. One, the design of the proposed wood monopole is consistent with the surrounding wood utility poles in height and appearance. The antennas will be painted brown to further blend with the pole. Number two, the pole height is necessary for the facility to transmit a signal on a line-of-sight technology. The existing utility poles in the area are not suitable for co-location. BSL recommended Mobility to install a new streetlight pole in lieu of the wood monopole, but the applicant has stated that alternative is financially infeasible. Number three, the proposed installation was approved by Cultural Affairs Commission. The property owners of the abutting, adjacent, and across lots, as well as CD14 and Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, were notified twice, one by the applicant and the second notification was by Bureau of Engineering. We have not got any response back from any property owners. I would just like to mention one thing, that when we review these cases, we cannot take into consideration any environmental effects on the radio and the antennas and any transmission. We are only looking at time, place, and matter of construction and access to that site.
Understood. Thank you, Mr. Sawaya. Any questions for Mr. Sawaya at this point? Okay, Commissioner Davis?
Just matter of record, co-location, define co-location. You mentioned that in your dissertation there.
The existing poles were not suitable for any co-location. But what did BSL recommend? They recommended that the applicant install a new street light and then they can co-locate on that new street light. But the existing ones were not suitable.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Sawaya? Thank you. Ms. Nichols? Good morning. And just so that everybody in the room knows, because I know people are here that aren't here every week or every meeting, when we have a real party in interest that's an applicant, then the applicant, we don't put the 2-minute time limit on the applicant. although her presentation will not add up to the cumulative number of minutes that we had on the opposition side, but we don't put a time limit on real parties in interest on either side of the issue. So go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Shannon Nichols from Mobility. Just to give you a little bit of background, at the beginning of this project, in the middle of this project, we met with all the council districts. In 2017, we did meet with CD14, and they recommended that we present to Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, their planning commission. We did so with specific locations. We gave a PowerPoint presentation with specific locations.
But did you meet with the full board, or was it
No,
a committee?
at the time it was just they requested that we meet with the Planning and Land Use Committee.
Okay, go ahead.
At the time, it was decided at that time that unless there was a specific neighborhood, a neighbor request, that or a neighborhood appeal, that I wouldn't come before them for every single individual site, but only when requested, only when necessary. At the time, we did have 12 new polls in CD14, 7 which were in Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. We found co-location opportunities for all but 2, and this is one of them. The other one's already completed and built, and then this one as well. We submitted this project on February 22nd. The Neighborhood Council and CD14 were notified on the mailings went out, registered on February 21st. And again, the city notified CD14, Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, and all neighboring property owners on March 21st. And both times those included a photo sim, a site plan, and a description of what we were building. The shot clock on this ended in June. The 90-day shot clock ended in June. We extended it twice for 30 days to get this agendized on July 31st. It wasn't until the morning of 31st that I heard that the council district reached out to the board with an objection at that, and they would like, and then the following Thursday, on August 8th, I met with CD14. That time, they seemed satisfied, and they said, would I come and present to the board an update of our project within the next several months?
Which
board? I agreed. The Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council.
Okay.
An update of our project, which I agreed. And it wasn't again until the date we were continued on August 14th, the morning of, that I heard that they reached out to the board again. I'm personally never notified. They, a week before, then asked me to present to the Neighborhood Council. I was out of town, and I let Rocio Hernandez know that twice, and Tan in the AGF department was also CC'd on those emails as well. I did ask around to see if anyone in my company could present.
Is that the August 28th meeting?
Yes, and it was the week before I was out of town. I would have done it in a heartbeat. I just couldn't have. They were all notified that I couldn't. I also asked around. We were sort of on a skeleton crew. We're at the end of our deployment and permitting process. We've had some pretty massive layoffs, and we're on a skeleton crew of people. There's no one that really understands AGFs, that understands the sensitivities of Boyle Heights, that really understands the greater Los Angeles deployment, that I really could have had present in my place. So I'm sort of stuck here. I don't want to be the bad guy and not present, because of course I do, and I have, and every opportunity I've been asked to, we have, but we're nearly at 180 days since this application was deemed complete. That's twice the shot clock. Nobody reached out when they were notified, and if council districts and neighborhood councils reach out immediately, then we have time to work with the once a month that these neighborhood councils meet, and I can work with them and address some issues. I'm sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because my company said that they won't extend the shot clock. We've done so twice. I don't really, and I know the health concerns. I would like you to know that all of these are small cells. They emit about 3 to 6% of the FCC allowable emissions. They put off very little emissions, and they will not even propagate probably to the elementary school that they're concerned about.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. I've got have a seat, but don't go far.
Okay.
A couple of questions for some folks. Mr. Jordan, would you explain, and I can have Ms. Nichols explain it as well if you'd like, just for the record and for everyone here, what the concept, the term shot clock means. It's a term that we use regularly in these hearings, but I recognize that this is one where we have more community participation than some others, and it's not a term that they may hear on a regular basis.
Yes, I'll be happy to. Under federal law, the local governments, including the city and this board, are required to act on these types of applications in a reasonable period of time. Due to a variety of rulemaking instances, that comes down to specific time deadlines depending on the type of the application. I believe this was the 90-day shot clock. And so basically, if a decision, once the application is deemed complete, isn't rendered within 90 days, then that's presumptively an unreasonable delay.
Okay. I recognize that the company has extended the shot clock. I got it. And Ms. Nichols, you're a representative of mobility, correct? And I'm sorry, can I have you to the microphone? You're representing a client which is Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, which one?
Sprint.
Sprint, okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Pellico, can I ask you a question? You're from the Neighborhood Council, correct? Okay. You had a full Neighborhood Council meeting on August 28th.
Correct.
And when is your next Neighborhood Council meeting? You meet once a month?
Yes, once a month on the last Wednesday of the month.
Last Wednesday of the month. So that would be Wednesday, September. We can help you out.
Give me 1 second.
You got a calendar over there?
Yeah, 25th.
So it will be the 25th?
Correct.
September 25th? Okay, thank you, sir. Don't go far. I may have some more questions for you. Here's just initially my concern, colleagues. We've got, when we continued this, and I was here, I was in communication. We put this on the record on August 14th. When the item came before us on August 14th, before that day, I looked online. I was in communication with, my recollection, it was the Chief of Staff at the Council office. And I looked online for the next full hearing of the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council because there had been some confusion as to whether or not the applicant needed to present to the committee as the applicant stated versus the full Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council, which is what the council office had requested of us. So I looked online. The meeting was August 28th. So specifically, I picked a date today that was beyond the time that was on September 28th and a date that all five of us, August 28th, and a date that all five of us would be here. And I understand that Ms. Nichols was not available on August 28th. She was out of town. She already explained on the record the issue about not being able to be there on August 28th. My feeling on this, shot clock or no shot clock, is that given the statements and the testimony from the community, in particular Ms. Martinez, who I marked, and I marked the record as well as Mr. Pellico from the Neighborhood Council, and my communications with the council office, I'm not prepared to approve this until the applicant has had the opportunity or the requirement, however you want to describe it, to present before the full Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. We tried it on August 28th. It didn't work. Now I would propose that we try it on September 25th because I've got a letter from the council office that is denying this, or rather opposing it. I've got a letter from the Neighborhood Council that are opposing it, and it is possible because we have a lot of these hearings over the years, and including hearings involving Ms. Nickel and the company that she's represented, where we've been able to work out the community's concerns and the needs of the applicant along with the Bureau of Engineering. I know that this has taken a long time, but given the opposition letters that I have, I am prepared to vote no on this unless we can move forward with the opportunity or the requirement, however it's described, for Ms. Nichols or her entity to present to the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council. That's the issue that's raised in the City Council letter from Councilman Weezar. I know there are other issues raised by Ms. Martinez in her testimony and in the Neighborhood Council letter. We at least ought to take a shot to resolve those. Then we can take a vote, in my mind, on moving forward here. My concern, though, Ms. Nichol, is that your client seems to be at the end of their rope and on the timeline, and that's my concern. That's why, if they are at the end of their rope and they want a ruling today, I'm not prepared to support it. But if they're willing to allow the continuance to send us to the next neighborhood council meeting and Ms. Nichols or a representative is able to attend, then I will hear the item based on an attempt to work out the resolution. That's all I have to say. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. I am inclined not to support this, even if they do go to the neighborhood council. For context, I was born in Boyle Heights. My family is from Boyle Heights. My family was displaced by the East LA interchange referenced in the Boyle Heights Neighborhood Council letter. And understanding Boyle Heights and that community, understanding the lack of thought in terms of how the infrastructure is put in, I can't speak to the science. I don't know anything about it, nor do I think we can rule on that. But understanding that there has been a lack of planning and a lack of thought in terms of how that community is built up and built out, and not giving a lot of thought about the environmental impacts of that, as well as other issues, that's just one issue I have. Secondly, I appreciate the president's ability to try to make sure that there's another opportunity, and the applicant has been working in good faith. And I believe that as well. I honestly do. But this is exactly why I had introduced a motion regarding the AGF notification, above ground facility notification, to include not just the property owners, but the renters as well, the people who actually live there. There were 2 letters sent out, and they did their due diligence. That's all they were required to do, the applicant. But the people that live in the buildings don't know about it, and unless you're involved in the neighborhood council and are active in that community, if you're just somebody trying to get by, you don't know about it, and you're going to be living next to it. And that's exactly why I want to bring my motion forward. I'm thinking at the end of September, because it's ridiculous that people who bear the impacts, whether it's visual or otherwise, do not get notified of those. Council opposition is also something I always consider in these decisions, and council opposition to this project makes me inclined to not support it, even if they do go to the neighborhood council. And if that changes, we can reconsider it, but until then, I'm very uncomfortable with supporting this either way. And finally, I appreciate that companies like Sprint or Mobility have a bottom line, and their job is to provide the service and to ensure that their shareholders or whomever, there's a profitability, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to do something like this, there may be opposition. It might be worth a little bit of investment by putting in a street light, by giving some value-add infrastructure to the project, as opposed to yet another giant wood monopole. So at least there's a community benefit, and it might cost you a little in the beginning, but in the front end, but in the long run, I think it's actually going to be something that'll pay off dividends, not only for the company but for the community as well, and the goodwill built there. So I'm just inclined to oppose it, whether it's now or comes in a month later. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. Commissioner Garcia, and then Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, President James. First, to the residents that are here from Boyle Heights, thank you for coming and for taking your time out of your day, out of our working schedules, because I know everybody here is part of our working community. So thank you for making the time, because it tells a lot about how much Boyle Heights is important to you. I would have really hoped that Mobility have got to the meeting. Mobility is a big company, Sprint is a big company. I'm pretty sure there was somebody that was there that could have represented the company. That's how important I think this community is, that there should have been the respect to have gone to that meeting. We did do this process for that reason, so that Mobility had the opportunity to present it in a positive way. I do want to say another thing. Here at the city, we don't, as hard as it might sound, we don't really take into, not because we don't want to or we don't care, but we're not really in charge of the health aspect of this. It's a federal guideline. It means it comes from the federal state to us, and we're only in charge of making sure or approving time, place, and manner. So this is why we make sure that you guys go out to the community, that the telecommunication carriers go out to Boyle Heights and the rest of the other neighborhood councils, present their case, and then it's up to you guys as a community to come together and work through this. I just want to tell you that I do support the motion that our president has put in place to give it one more time, an opportunity for Mobility to go out there and do a proper presentation to the Boyle Heights community on what it is, what it takes, and what are the health aspects. You guys are welcome to ask anything you want. Mobility was given the opportunity through BSL, because Bureau of Street Lighting did do their due diligence. They tried to find a co-location opportunity, and apparently there wasn't. But the opportunity and the alternative was given that if Mobility wants, they can install a street light and then co-locate on the top of that. When she does your presentation next month, you guys can go more into conversations about that, but I just wanted to let you guys know that the alternative was given as an option to Mobility, and Mobility has said no at this time. It's still there. We haven't ruled on anything, so that is still an option to do. And I think I do want to say that I second the motion for Commissioner Cabello on the notification to renters, not just landlords, because that is why we're here. That is why we get a lot of opposition. Landlords usually don't get the letters, or whether they get it or not, we don't know. But the folks that have to live with it are the ones that really get impacted. And so we're making an effort on that end to make sure that also renters get notified when these applications come into our board. So just know that we're taking care of that too. And also as a city, along with the telecommunication community, we are working together on official city documents of what we, the city, take care of and not, and who to reach out on for certain questions regarding any monopoles. That's upcoming. That we haven't finalized that yet, but that's going to come in the next month. And we're working together with the telecommunication company. So know that you'll also get those type of general information. I just wanted to make sure that the community in Boyle Heights was addressed, a lot of your concerns, and we'll see what we end up doing after today's discussion.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Davis.
For me, basically two things. One, in terms of general education, I was just really curious at this point, not just looking particularly here at this problem, but in general, the bigger public policy issue that has been mentioned by our Vice President and also Commissioner Garcia as well. I'm just curious, and it doesn't really specifically deal with this, but it deals with this issue. Where do we go in terms of other alternatives other than co-location and other than just the naked doing the apparatus on the pole? Is there or are there other strategies of installation for these products? Do they do an underground cable? I don't remember having heard of any such installations, but I was just curious about it. Second, and the most important issue is, no, I don't support it. Certainly the council office is opposed to it. That's one reason, but perhaps in this case, even if the council office wasn't opposed to it, I think perhaps it presents a real problem not having had an opportunity to present it to the council office, to the council, neighborhood council, that's going to be impacted, and to make a full presentation there. That's just kind of like the ABCs of public policy. So when you run all of the red lights, it makes it very difficult for us, to join in. And so basically that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. So, Ms. Nickel, can I ask you a question as to whether or not does your company want us to decide today, or do you want to take a shot at September 25th and maybe answering questions, and maybe there's some options?
I do want to tell you, just for the record, that Rocio, Ms. Hernandez did let me know that right now Bull Heights Neighborhood Council has a blanket denial on wireless applications. So
Has a what?
A blanket denial. So I don't think the letter will change, but I'm happy to do so. I also did meet with CD14 and Bull Heights Neighborhood Council, and our agreement at the time was to only present when there were neighborhood issues, and there weren't any until this morning. So I was in compliance with what the Bull Heights Neighborhood Council had requested. I did meet with them, and I was doing what they wanted me to do instead of coming for every single one. They actually told me that. So I wasn't purposely not reaching out. I had, and that was the response I had been given.
Okay, thank you. I feel like Ms. Hernandez on regarding CD14. Here's where I am. What we could do is I understand. Well, first of all, could I get a confirmation from you that the neighborhood council has a blanket denial on all of the above ground facilities, or Mr. Pellico, is that the case? I'm sorry. Yeah, if you could come forward. Thank you.
Well, Mr. President, as you know, we base our decisions and moratoriums based on the community feedback and items that get presented to the board when it comes to plug or transportation environment, and then to our general board. So there was a moratorium placed against any cell phone installations in Bull Heights based on the 5G tower that's being built at the ELAC's East Los Angeles Community Corporation's premises, and along with this one at 406 South Breed Street.
Understood, but would Mike understand that you have a moratorium in place, but your board can vote one way or the other on something that's presented to them?
Correct.
So my question would be, in your mind, would it make sense for mobility to come present to the full board, as I thought was happening on August 28th, and it didn't, and to answer questions of the community, and maybe there's an attempt to try to find something that works for the community so that there's still a service? Because one of the things that they will explain to the community that the community can make a decision on, yay or nay, yes or no, is it worth having the infrastructure there for the services? They can vote no if they want, but they also have the opportunity to vote yes once they hear what's being provided.
Right, you're absolutely correct, Mr. President. I can't speak on all the decisions of our 19 board members, but we can provide the allotment of time for mobility to present, and then the board, as individuals or consensus, make a decision as to approve or oppose the project.
Yeah, even though there's a moratorium in place, I understand that, but to me that doesn't mean in this instance don't bring it, because I've got messages from the council office just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, saying we would like for mobility to come to the neighborhood council to present. As a matter of fact, it's even referenced in the letter. So that's why and my question for Ms. Hernandez, in your office's view, could it be beneficial to do so, one way or the other? Even if it's voted down, it still gives an opportunity for mobility and their representatives to explain and to present to the community what's going on, and maybe, and to give them a chance to be heard in the community, to ask questions.
Yeah, so our office would still like to see Mobilite come before the full neighborhood council, as is referenced in our letter, and as I mentioned, back in 2017, When Mobilite did come before the neighborhood council, it was before the planning and land use committee. So the larger community has never heard this information. And Mr. Palico referenced, and the reason, and I can't fully speak on behalf of the board, but there is another tower that currently is being proposed in private property. So currently Boyle Heights is facing two proposed towers. The private property is going through the planning's process, and so community members are just facing this reality that there are two towers in close proximity to each other, and I would imagine that is why the neighborhood council wants to, voted to put a stop. There hasn't been much research as well in terms of health or environmental effects of, what effects are. But yes, our office, even if the neighborhood council were to keep their position, we would like for Mobilite to come and present what's the timeline, what's the design, what are the next steps. That may be unclear, but we would like to see that.
Okay. Commissioner Cabello.
Yeah, I think it'd be a really wonderful opportunity if mobility that presented to the neighborhood council and with the council office's support to, in the context of ELAC's tower, maybe really pushing them toward or negotiating them toward a street light where then it's co-located, because at the very least, it's going to be very difficult for us, I think, on legal grounds to deny in general, although I'm going to oppose, but that doesn't mean there can't be some kind of community benefit from it. And looking at pictures of the street, I know that area, but it looks like that would be at least a value add to the community. There would be a street light, and that's something that is, never easy for us to do as a city because of limited budgets, but that's something to discuss, and that's something to keep talking through. So I would recommend that, and I would support that, and maybe the council office could help negotiate that as well.
Okay, so I sound like, and Ms. Nichols' response was that there was a blanket denial. I think I've worked around a moratorium, and at least we've got a considered updated response from the council office. So the order that I'm going to propose is to continue the item to September 25th. I'm sorry, after September 25th. Ms. Nichol, your alternative would be just to withdraw that, but that's for your company to decide. But I'm going to put this item over to what is. Well, I'd like to give Mr. Pellico. Can I have you up one more time? I'm sorry, sir. Getting your steps in this morning. We want to give your community time, your neighborhood council representatives and community members that are associated there with time to come back to the board after the neighborhood council meeting on September 25th if they would like to. So is there a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday that's better? Those are the dates we meet, Monday, Wednesday, or Friday at 10 a.m.
Actually, I would like to take the voices of the community because they are taking time from their schedule as well. My schedule is flexible, but I do want to take their voice into consideration.
I need to pick right now. So yeah. What I'm looking at, what is a Wednesday a week away from September 25th?
That's October 2nd.
October 2nd. October 2nd or October 4th?
Octubre 2 o octubre 4.
Okay, you're all on the 4th. October 2nd or October 9th? You'd rather have a Friday?
October 9th is not available. That's a holiday.
Oh, October 9th is a holiday. A Wednesday's a holiday?
I believe it's marked on my calendar as Yom Kippur.
Okay, got it. You're right. Let's try the 16th.
The 16th? El 16?
Or Friday the 18th.
Miércoles o viernes, el 16 o el 18.
I'm out.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We could just continue it and then decide on another date once we hear from them.
I'm going to get one. 16th or 18th?
18th.
Okay, so October 18th will be the date, the continued date for this item. FYI, we may want some question and answer back and forth for yourself, perhaps Ms. Martinez. General public comment, though, because we've heard, will be cut to 1 minute per person rather than 2 minutes since we've already had this hearing.
Yeah.
And then we'll, of course, Mobility will have their chance to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr.
All right.
President.
Thank you.
Board.
That'll be the order on agenda item number 1. Let's go to agenda item number 4, Council Districts 1, 4, 9, 10, 13, and 14, a contract award, secondary sewer renewal program, difficult access reaches, Northeast Los Angeles, Silver Lake, Boyle Heights, South Los Angeles. Recommending that the board declare Ramona the first low bidder to be the lowest responsive responsible bidder and award Ramona a contract for the project for $12,371,871. Secondly, receive and file transmittal number 1. And third, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Mr. Jensen.
Good morning. Brad Jensen with the Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division, Bureau of Engineering. This project will remove and replace or rehabilitate approximately 5.1 miles of sewers, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 15-inch diameter pipes in the Northeast Los Angeles area. This work will also include cleaning and inspecting the sewers to determine the actual repair limits of the project. This project is scheduled to last 811 calendar days. The bids for this project were received on May 1st. We did receive 5 bids. Ramona was the low bidder at $12.4 million. Based upon the range of the bids that we received for this project, staff believes that the bids were reasonable. Mike Perlich and Sons, their bid listed was, the total bid was incorrect. Staff did correct the total bid amount in accordance with the procedure set forth in the general instructions. That change did not change the order of the bids. MNR also listed their total bid amount incorrectly. Staff corrected their total bid amount in accordance with the procedures, and that did change their bid from the 3rd low bidder to the 5th low bidder. And both of these contractors were notified of the changes. MNR did send in a letter explaining the discrepancy in their bid. However, staff did respond that according to the procedure set forth in the general instructions and information for bidders, their bid was changed according to that. Unit price does prevail in that case.
That's generally irrelevant to the discussion now because we've got Ramona, that's the first low, and Perlich is like $800 more out of a $12 million bid, which is really pretty close. So M&R is not really in the mix.
Yeah, they weren't really in the mix anyway. So staff does recommend that just receive and file that transmittal. This project was advertised under the local business preference program.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jensen, 1 moment, please. I do have a speaker card on number 4. Mr. Herman on number 4. Mr. Herman on number 4. Mr. Herman on number 4. Mr. Jensen, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so this was advertised under the local business preference program. BCA did certify and verify that the apparent low bidder Ramona is a certified local business enterprise. This project was also included in the business inclusion program. Ramona did comply with the terms of the business inclusion program as far as their outreach. They did, and as such, they did pledge 9.24% SBE, 9.24% EBE, 14.82% OBE, and they also did comply with the minimum subcontracting amount of 25.35%. And as such, in view of the above findings, the staff does recommend that we declare, that the board declare Ramona the first low bidder after the local business preference was applied to be the lowest responsible bidder for this project. This project does also include a project labor agreement, and Ramona will be required to comply with the terms of that program as well. The funding for this project is part of our sewer construction and maintenance fund. So in view of the above findings, staff does recommend that the board declare Ramona the first low bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, receive and file transmittal number 1, and award Ramona the contract for this project.
Thank you. Brett, I would note this is about 10% below the city's estimate. Your team has no doubt that that Ramona can do this, correct?
Correct. They've done a number of projects, similar projects for the city in the past, so they're qualified, and we feel that they can do the job for the amount bid.
We didn't get any protests from Perlich, did we?
No, we did not.
Even though they're $800 off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they didn't want to be 10% under. Okay. And because we don't get a protest, then contract compliance and the group at BCA doesn't go through and do the business inclusion assessment that they do for the first low bid.
Well, they did the assessment for first low bidder. They did meet the terms of the contract.
Right, but I'm talking about the second low bidder.
Yeah, and so because the first low bidder was responsive, then they do not do the business inclusion evaluation for
the
any
second
of the other bidders.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you, President James. I noticed under previous work record, there is a record of a violation, an unauthorized substitution, and the fine amount was $841. I've never seen this before in these kinds of items that have come before the board. Can you elaborate on that?
On the specific reason, I don't have that information, but usually what happens is the contractor on the SSRP W32 project used a contractor or a subcontractor that was not pre-authorized to work on the contract.
It would have been a very low dollar subcontractor because of the low fine.
Yeah, so
And
the fine was $841, so.
I think Ms.
McGlinchey's
McGlinchey can answer that.
I forgot she's not in her VIP seat, or she is. She's not in her reserve seat. She's in her
She drew
VIP
the short straw.
So, just so you know, commissioners, for our award reports, we do look at history within the last 5 years, and we will report. This is one instance of an unauthorized substitution in 5 years. I couldn't tell you how many projects, but in the last 5 years, they have had 11 contracts awarded to them. And so we don't see that one instance as being a big issue for you. It's just to let you know that this has happened.
It's unusual because I've never, of all the board reports I've seen for bids that are being awarded, I've never seen anything. I've never seen a previous work record that had a violation. I think it would be helpful in the future to know a little bit more about it. This seems pretty innocuous. It was one time, as you said, 5 years, 11 projects. These are all really big projects, and the fine amount was so minimal. I'm sure it's not a problem. But if it is something that is bigger, I think we would want to see a little bit more information about it. Is all. But thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4, and that was a Davis second as well. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Agenda item number 2, above ground facilities hardship waiver adjacent to 1810 Parnell Avenue, Council District 5. Recommending that the board approve the request for a variance from the height requirement of the above-ground facilities ordinance pursuant to L.A. Municipal Code, Section 6208VB for the monopole. Secondly, approve the request for a hardship waiver from the below-grade requirement of the AGF ordinance pursuant to LAMC, Section 6208-2A for the monopole. And third, authorize mobility to install a 45-foot-high wood monopole and a 48-inch high meter pedestal cabinet in the public right-of-way adjacent to 1810 Parnell Avenue. Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Herman on number 2. Mr. Sawaya on number 2.
Good morning, Ramsey Sawaya with Bureau of Engineering. Mobility has requested a variance from the AGF ordinance for height limitation and a hardship from the undergrounding requirements to install a 45 feet high wood monopole adjacent to 1810 Parnell. The purpose of the monopole is to mount wireless telecommunication antennas. The Bureau of Engineering's review of this application found the site to be compliant with the AGF ordinance for the following reasons. The design of the proposed wood monopole is consistent with the surrounding wood utility poles in height and appearance. The antennas will be painted brown to further blend with the pole. The undergrounding of the monopole causes a technical hardship. The pole has to be high enough for the facility to transmit on the signal on a light-of-sight technology. The existing utility poles in the area are not suitable for co-location, but BSL recommended mobility to install a new street light in lieu of the wood monopole, but the applicant has stated the alternative is financially infeasible. Number 3, the proposed installation was approved by Cultural Affairs Commissions. The property owner of the abutting adjacent across lots, as well as Council District 5 and West Side Neighborhood Council, were notified twice, one by the applicant and the second notice went by Bureau of Engineering. We have not received any response from neither the property owner or the council, nor the West Side Council, Neighborhood Council. We do recommend that the board approve the both requests, the variances for the height and the hardship from the undergrounding.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Nichols here if we have any questions on number 2. Any questions? Commissioner Cabello?
Thank you. Actually, Ms. Nichols, I do have a question for you, and it's a technical question. It's or maybe a point of information. If you can come up to the mic, please. And given the lack of opposition, I have no issue with this one and moving it forward. I'm just curious. In your letter dated February 6, 2019, you mentioned that Sprint's AGOOP information indicates incidents with broadband connectivity, which is why you need the monopole, which is I'm fine with. But what's AGOOP?
AGOOP is just data that is collected that shows incidents where broadband connection isn't being completed, isn't connected, so whether it's dropped, email processes. And I also gave that information to the last people as well.
Yeah, I didn't know what AGOOP was. Yeah. Okay, I'm good, and I move the item.
And just also, so you know, we did choose that location. It is right beside a Verizon, what's called a switch building, and they're made to withstand basically nuclear holocaust. There are no windows or any decorative elements that it should get beside.
That was clear in the photos.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. So that's Commissioner Cabello's motion. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. That takes us clear of all the voting items, correct, Mr. Knight?
That is correct, President.
Okay, agenda item number 9 is our oral report. Mr. Herman on number 9. Mr. Herman on number 9. Mr. Herman on number 9. Mr. Tolles, you are here on number 9.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Tolles. I'm from the Bureau of Engineering Wastewater.
Let me call it just real quick.
Sure.
Status report on construction orders issued. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, so I'm with the Bureau of Engineering Wastewater Conveyance Construction Division. I'm reporting for the construction orders issued between April 1st of 2019 to June 30th of 2019. This is in accordance with Board Policy number 793, which was amended November 20th of 2018. Where we provide an aggregate listing of all of our construction orders and change orders issued under the City Engineers Authority of $150,000. The report before you has the 7 construction services contract managed by the Bureau of Engineering and provides the work order, the title, and the issuance date of the construction orders that we've issued under $150,000. You'll also find asterisks near some of the work orders, which denotes construction orders issued on the sewers contract between the amounts of $150,000 to $500,000, which is within the City Engineers Authority. So I'll just highlight some of the overall numbers for. I'll talk about quarter 1 and then quarter 2, which is what we're reporting on now. So in Q1, there was 18 construction orders issued with a total amount of $888,000. under the storm drain contract. Under the sewer contract, there were 294 construction orders issued for a total of $13,646,000. That was last quarter. This quarter, another contract issued a construction order, which was the geotechnical and structural contract. That was for a dollar amount of $362,570. The storm drain contract this quarter issued 10 construction orders for a total of $795,000. And the sewers contract issued 314 construction orders for a total amount of $15,069,400. I'm here to answer any questions you may have on the report.
Any questions at all from Mr. Tolles? The oral report will be received. Any other bureaus on today's oral report? We don't have them. All right, thank you. Mr. Knight, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, we have, President.
Okay, then we are adjourned, everyone. Have a nice Wednesday.